Hey up and welcome to the live set of six. This is our weekly news show where we share the good, the great and the noteworthy of rugby league outside the heartlands. My name's Craig.
And my name's Carl, and on this week's set of six, we cannot start without talking about the NRL landing in Vegas. We've got all the reaction from the Americans as they witness rugby league for the first time. We're also going to have announced the latest team to enter the Midlands Nines, which is a women's team this week. And then we're going to talk to a rugby league legend, and he's going to talk to us about test match footy between GB and Australia this week.
Yeah, and there's a few more stories in there that we're going to be talking about as well. A real action-packed show, if I don't say so myself. Couple of things before we start. As always, this is a completely interactive show, so you can comment and we can bring those comments up on the screen. We always give 10 Rugby League Outsiders mega points to the first person to comment, which you can cash in absolutely nowhere. But okay, just encourages a little bit of a comment there. So share your comments and get involved. They're really interested, especially on some of the talking points that we're going to go through this week. Some of them are polarized, the old tinterwebs, so there's all sorts of arguments and discussions going on. I'd be really keen to get your opinion on a lot of these stuff. Anything else, Carl, before we crack into it?
No, I think we've got the main story of the week this week, which is obviously Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely belting scenes in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so I wanted to, obviously we've got to talk about the NRL landing in America for the opening round of the NRL. I think what I'm more interested in is the event as a whole rather than talking about the actual games on the pitch. It was absolutely just unbelievable to see such an iconic stadium full as it was. And to really get the Americans' reaction to the game. I've got a few quotes here, Craig. I sort of was looking at Twitter and things like that during the game, and I pulled a few tweets out. And I found an article on Fox Sports, so that they were looking at a chap called Adam Lengel, who's like a blogger, and he sort of had a few quotes that I'm going to read a few of them out and sort of we'll go through them. So. One of the first things he said, he put, good news for me. The Bunnies have run into the KFC end zone to score 4 points. And then he also noted the fact that the clock didn't stop and there was no commercial break after the try.
Well, that's bad because, they obviously, every time there's a stopping play, they always bugger off to get a hot dog and then, another do kiss cam and another pint of bloody Coca-Cola or whatever. And, and then the game starts again. So it must be strange for him to see the game. The idea is keep the game going.
But have they got a point there? Like when you score a try, is there any need for the clock to carry on ticking? It's just dead time, isn't it?
No, you're right. But you're right. But it does extend the playing time. I don't know. I've not really thought about that. And you didn't mention it in the rehearsal, so I was just throwing it on me cold.
Yeah. All right, I'll move on. There was another quote from him. He put, "There's a penalty to the Bunnies. So the Manly player takes the ball and kicks the ball off the field."
Kicks it away.
Kicks it away. I don't get that. What's a penalty?
No, he's like, what do you get for a penalty?
Yeah.
He's obviously thinking field goal, you know what I mean? Great, a chance of scoring and just boot it off the pitch.
10-yard penalty or something. So,
like, what the fuck does he do?
I suppose that is pretty unique to rugby league, isn't it? Something like that. You don't get that in any other sport where apart from rugby union, where you kick to touch to advance down the field.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very unique rugby league thing that I never really thought about.
Yeah, and completely alien for them. So I bet it was weird watching it. But did you see the crowd, by the way? Did you see the?
Oh, mate, that was what I sort of really wanted to talk about. The event as a whole, 41,000 people there. It just looked amazing, didn't it? The buzz. It felt like watching like NRL, like State of Origin or something like that. And I'm a bit of an anorak. I got really engrossed in all the boring stuff. So like it really took me, like I was looking at the announcers before the game were actually on the pitch in the I'm even calling it an end zone myself now. So they did reporting from that desk on the pitch. It just looked American, didn't it? Yeah. Referees wore black and white striped tops, same as the NFL referees. And I even watched like a 10-minute little snippet about talking just about the posts.
Well, I always got 10 minutes to talk about the post, like 10 minutes of information. What was special about it?
Well, so that pitch, the turf had only been played on once,
Right?
And because they relayed it for the Super Bowl, it's where the Super Bowl played, and they didn't actually they couldn't find the blueprint of where the posts were meant to go.
For the holes for the post.
Yeah, and it were only found when they dug the pitch up for the Super Bowl, and actually the pitch ended up being shorter than it should have been. But that's where the mounts were for the post.
Did you see the scene? Like the stadium looked magical, didn't it? You know, everything that you think of, like Vegas being bigger, better, just mad, and it was. It just looked incredible. And imagine being some of them players playing there. And imagine being in the crowd, like just.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I'm jealous of anybody that got to go to that, and I want to be there next year.
Well, do you think the black and white stripes, the colour in the in goal area and all that? Do you think that was like the right thing to do, like paying homage to the Americans?
Yeah, I thought it was class. I thought the fact that the end zone was all black. I think I'm calling it an end zone myself. Like I'm fully.
Yeah, but you're an NFL fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I do like NFL, but we used to do that in Super League actually.
What
the tri zones used to be coloured in.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. We used to put a lot more effort into stuff like that. we did in early days of Super League. That's what they did, and razzmatazz and all that. And we should bring that back, really.
Yeah, but I mean, they can do so much with green screens and graphics on this telly. You know what I mean? Like they put all the Betfred stuff on the screens now with green screen and all that. So, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but in the stadium, a bit more effort should be made. Really, the posts were yellow as well.
Yeah,
I know that's a very minor detail, but the posts at NFL are always yellow, so they went with that. Anyway, I'll carry on through these quotes anyway, because there's another couple of good ones here. He put at one point, one of the bunnies chokes a Manly player. This seems fine. Nobody seemed too upset about it.
Genius.
And then he also went on to describe the game later on as human cockfighting, as one of the players was walking around bloodied. So yeah, I thought there was, from an American's point of view, that was really, and it seems to have been really well received.
Oh, massively. I mean, they showed the breakdown of the crowd, and it was something like 15,000, NRL fans that had either travelled across or, they're expats out in America. There was a good, massive chunk of Super League fans, but there was a massive chunk of just local fans that they don't really know, what their allegiance was, but they just turned up for a great sporting event.
Yeah,
so, they've obviously done a great. I mean, there's so many distractions in Vegas, isn't there? You know what I mean? It's like there's just so much going on. To get that many people into a stadium, to a sport that they're not accustomed to, it's a massive win. It's a massive win.
Yeah.
So Phil Rogers, who obviously he comments pretty much first every week. So thanks, Phil, for your comment. 5,000 fans at the meet and greet. So, that in itself, 5,000,
yeah.
That's a significant amount of people, that just turned up for the meet and greet.
There was also the Vegas Nines as well, took place the same weekend. And I think there was a Canada Wolverines versus USA match as well. So it was all positive, wasn't it? Everything seems, you quite easily in rugby league terms get stuck with the negative of everything, don't we? But it's all positive, and I hope they're going to do it next year. I think they are doing it next year, aren't they? They're signed in for a couple of years. One thing I would throw out: do you think it'd be good to get the World Club Challenge there, or do you think it should just stick to NRL?
I don't think you can have everything there. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you should have
There's been calls for it to be a 2-day event, though, aren't there?
Yeah.
NRL on one day and then World Club Challenge.
Yeah.
As another day.
I don't know.
Might dilute it.
I think it might dilute it. But we've got to remember that half the battle of a World Club Challenge is encouraging the Australians to get involved in it. So if we've got to do it, a neutral ground in America, and they're all over that, then maybe maybe it's a great idea. Interesting, when you're talking about the Americans' reaction to it, it does take me back to, I was once went on deployment to South America, and we ended up going to R&R to Miami, right? And and I remember we had this massive Western style brawl in the Marines bar with the Americans. And it was carnage. There was just chairs going through windows. You know what I mean? It was just fighting
Sounds
everywhere.
like Wild West.
When we're off there, I'll tell you how it all got started and all this. But it was the Wild West, and I just remember someone shouting out, "He just hit him with his head." I was like, "Fucking hell, these guys haven't got a clue. You know, they want to get themselves to bloody Brighouse on a weekend." And then another guy was shouting, "Quit hitting the Sergeant Major!" You know, it was just fucking brilliant. So. Okay, so
I've got one more tweet, which was one of my favourite ones. So if you bring it up on screen on next one, mate, that was I'll let you read it out.
Okay, so this one is
this sums up NRL Vegas for me from an American's point of view.
So someone called Jai, Butterfly Boy Jai, or something like that. This hashtag NRL Vegas is hella fun to watch. Hashtag Australia is wild. Almost anything that moves there can kill you, including rugby. It's brutal. All in all, though, the one team scored, and I have no clue about the rules, but let's go.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty much sums up Vegas, NRL Vegas.
Well, do you know
what a great occasion.
But this, they say, obviously, we put our videos on YouTube, and they say that if you're on YouTube video, like if you don't necessarily need sound, people can follow the story and they know what's going on, and it's interesting without sound. You've got a good video. Now, put it into context of rugby league. If someone can go there, not understanding a clue about what's going on, and have an amazing time, you're onto something. You know, and that's clearly what they've done. They obviously respect the fact that these guys are smashing into each other at high speed collisions, and with no padding, no nothing. They can respect the speed in the game, the skill in there. So, definitely onto a winner.
And we've got all these people moaning that, rugby's getting diluted now because of the head injuries and all the rest of it. All of a sudden, when you put it into somebody else's perspective and they're going, "Oh my God, this game is absolutely brutal. They haven't got helmets on." Yeah. It gives you a complete different perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Do you want to go through the scores, Carl? And we've got another comment from somebody watching.
Yeah, so it were Rabbitohs 24, Manly 36, and then Brisbane 10, Roosters 20. So, like I say, I didn't get to watch the full games. I was more engrossed in the actual event itself.
Okay, so the comment, World Club Challenge being talked about as the Americans love the world champion aspect of sport. Super Bowl, NBA, and all that kind of stuff. That's from Alex. So thanks for tuning in, Alex. But yeah. So it'd be interesting if you do take some of the bigger games and the wider sport out there, and you could argue, apart from a World Cup final, that's one of the biggest games out there, isn't it? For us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're American, you just call anything the World Series, don't you? Or
baseball. Like no one else
plays it, but it's the World Series.
Okay, so America, famous for lots of hurricanes in places. Somewhere else that's famous for hurricanes is the Midlands.
Birmingham. Yeah, so the Midlands Hurricanes are the latest team to enter the Midlands Nines, not the team in League One, but the women's team are going to be playing their first ever games. They're going to be playing at the Midlands Nines in the women's competition. So yeah, great to welcome them along to the party.
I'm a bit disappointed. I thought we had a little thing going there when you'd be like, breaking news, Craig. We didn't get it this week. Did we?
Breaking news! Yeah, I forgot about that, didn't I?
Okay.
I think everyone's just So I spoke to Jamie Jones actually this week. Who's the Hurricanes women's coach as well as he's part of Oxford, isn't he? And he's sort of pleased with how it's going. He's managing to build a team. Obviously, they're still in their early stages, but yeah, it's just great to get another women's team involved, and yeah, it'd be great to welcome them to the Nines. Can't wait.
Do you know where they're getting the bulk of their players from, or anything like that, Carl? You spoke about that.
Bit of all over the place.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the training base is at the minute, but I suppose it doesn't matter as long as we've got another team in the Midlands.
Okay, so moving on. I've not really got like some kind of crazy segue for this one because it is weird. It's out there. So let's have a look at the little rebounder ball.
That was the worst link you've done since we started this.
I know, but I didn't know what to say.
Right, so we have got Rugby League Outsiders rebounder ball. So you may be looking at it thinking, what the hell is that? So it's certainly different. We've had these imported from Australia. The Sports Talent Scout have been working with him, for a Rugby League rebounder ball. So what these actually are, it's a training ball essentially. It's not the full rugby ball. You can see it's got the top cut off, and it looks absolutely weird, but they're absolutely brilliant. So they're from, like I said, they're from Australia. A lot of people use them in the NRL for repetition passes. What happens? You throw the ball against the wall off the flat edge of the cow, and it comes straight back to you. Absolutely brilliant. And my kids absolutely love them.
Well, I mean, I remember, and obviously not just when I was a kid either, when I was playing not long ago, I'd spend, time and time. I try and do 10 passes off each hand every day, right? Minimum. And obviously what happens is you bounce it off the wall because you're on your own, aren't you? You know what it's like being on your own, Carl. So, what happens is instead of like concentrating on the pass, you start to concentrate on playing the bounce. You know what I mean? On trying to beat the bounce to make sure the ball comes back at you. But this is going to cut that frustration out, and you're going to be able to run through your drills and all this kind of stuff on your own, annoy your neighbours, piss your mum off or whatever because the ball's just clatting against the wall every 2 seconds or whatever. But yeah. So
I decided to practice with it in the living room.
How did that go down?
It went really well. So I dropped it and it hit the table, knocked a glass over, smashed all over the floor, and I got an absolute bollocking from the missus.
That's the classic, party thing.
I ain't exaggerating either. That is like literally the truth. I was like, this is great. So the kids were playing with it for ages. They're perfect, and I went and knocked on. Honestly, they are brilliant. They are really brilliant, and like I said, they look strange, but for kids, what's that saying? Perfect practice makes perfect.
Prevents piss poor performance.
Is that that wasn't the one I was looking for? But for juniors, these are perfect. They can stand outside time and time again, practice the passing. Keeps coming back to him. Yeah. So we haven't got them on the website yet, have we? But
no. I'm just gonna. I don't know. We will have them on the website the next few days. Obviously, we've got to put like the shop and everything together. But if you're interested and you want one of those, then just get in touch with us and we'll sort it out. What do they retail at, Cal?
About 25 quid. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, 25 quid. We've only got a small stock of those. We're going to take them to the Midlands Nines tournament as well and have them on sale there. So I'm expecting them to go pretty quick. If it is something you want and you also want to help the show, because we do get a little bit of a kickback from the balls, and it does kick back from the balls.
Nailed that one.
And it does help put all this together. We have got some news coming in the future as well, which I don't want to kind of spill too much here, which is going to take a lot more investment of time, effort and energy, and a little bit of funds will just take some of that strain off. So if you want to see this show continue to grow, then that's a way that you can help support the show, as well as subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, all that malarkey.
Yeah, so we always forget to mention that, don't we? Every week we're not very good YouTubers.
Okay, so from one lot of strange balls, we're going to head over to other people that have got strange balls, and that's Police Rugby League.
Big fan of the Police. Test match footy is back, Craig. It's been a while since Great Britain has taken on Australia, but it is happening, well, in the early hours of the morning. Great. So Great Britain Police playing Australia Police in a test match down under. It's an event that's happened pretty much every year. I think it got stopped for a while because of all the problems with COVID, and we managed to build it up. And we managed to speak to John Hamer, who was a Bradford Bulls, Bradford Northern legend, but he's also been, he is in the police force. He's been heavily involved with the Police Rugby League for some time. And you spoke to him, didn't you, Craig, yesterday? Yeah, I did. And I'm a little bit invested in this match because I've actually got a relative that's playing that I want to give a bit of a shout out, because he had a great game as well the weekend. Now, just a little bit of a background. One of my close cousins who we grew up, it's his son that's out there playing, right? He's done a lot in rugby league, including playing for the Army, and I think he was at Bradford for a bit. And but I was always busy when he was playing rugby, right? I was off, in the Marines, all over doing stuff, and I always missed
his progression through rugby, right? And I never sort of caught up with it. Now, he's playing for GB Police Rugby League, and the match was streamed, right? And it was like the stars aligned. It was like, because I was looking after my grandson. He woke up early hours, went downstairs, and I was like, what the hell's going to be on the telly here? Opened up Facebook, stream starting in 5 minutes. I was like, it's fucking meant to be.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and he had a cracking game. As well as that, he was involved in what can only be described as like a wonder try. It was absolutely fantastic. So really good game. And so shout out to Josh Greenwood McDonald, who's out there on the tour, and good luck in the morning. So, yeah, let's have a look at this.
You've got a clip, haven't you? You did a quick interview with John yesterday, which is going out as a full episode on our YouTube channel this week, isn't it? But,
So what is some of the challenges that Great Britain Police Rugby League face that people wouldn't necessarily be aware of?
Well, essentially, the challenges are keeping the same team and the same squad involved and on the field at any one time. And that's purely because policing comes first, rugby league comes second.
Yeah.
So these guys I call it is a sacrifice because they have to sacrifice some things. I.e., if they're on night shift, they have to get out of bed after a couple of hours sleep to get to a training session or a game, or travel to a game as part and parcel of it.
There'll be certain factors, I suppose, that every member of the police have got. They've got to have to do the job that they do and to provide that service. And how does it sort of map across to rugby league?
Yeah, well, I mean, in simple terms, discipline, dedication, physical and mental toughness. And if you're playing in a team sport, no matter what the sport, I mean, we're talking about rugby league here, and we're talking about men's rugby league. But if you're playing in a team environment, then it's giving you some team ethos and team ability, and that adds to communication skills. And you might have nothing in common with a member of the public when you're working and doing your job as a police officer, but the sport is always a common theme. That if you strike up a conversation about sport, no matter what the circumstances, then generally it'll be beneficial.
I know you're not over there, and you've not necessarily had a great deal of input into the team like as it stands at the minute. But in your opinion, John, what would that team have to achieve out there for them to feel like this tour is a success?
Well, last year when they played on home soil and over 80 minutes, they got well beat. Now they played last Sunday against Australia, the reigning Police World Cup champions, and they lost 18-6. Now that in its own, I understand it's a loss, but it's an 18-6 loss, and that is a marvellous result for their first game off the plane and on the ground.
It seemed like there was like 10 minutes at the start where Great Britain was just kind of finding the feet almost, and then Australia scored, a belting try, and then Great Britain really kicked in and started competing. And I thought, we're going to win this. Like, I really, really got behind it, and some great displays of skill and some big hits as well.
And they were a try at season nomination as well.
Yeah,
from Great Britain.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal, that try. Yeah. My relative was involved in it. The guy he only had one boot on at the time. He did his flick out the back. I don't know how he managed it, but phenomenal try.
Down right side edge, I do.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you something. The times I've been to Australia with Great Britain Police, we've gone for 4 weeks, and we've had a week's intensive training camp. Get rid of jet lag, get rid of all that stuff. Get on the training field, quality time together. Those historically were always 4-week tours. This current squad are there 2 weeks total. That's getting off plane and getting off plane back in England.
Yeah,
that's 2 weeks to acclimatise, to train hard, to enjoy a little bit of Australia as well, and that's to play. And their first game, 18-6, lots to build on. I mean, the second game on 6th of March, that looks like a real full day for everybody. There's 2 curtain raisers on before that game.
Yeah.
Before they're going on at 4:30.
What do you think the squad out there need to do to perhaps take it a little bit further on this next game?
Believe, compete, playing their systems in what is the cauldron of Australian rugby.
Yeah.
Now, and they'll have done the reviews, they'll watch the videos back, and they are, without question, all got to be on fire for that game.
Brilliant answer. Okay, John. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time to speak to us, and thanks for spreading the word of Great Britain Police Rugby League.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, so great to talk to John. Now you can watch the feature length. That sounds a bit more than it actually is. You can watch the feature length episode. It'll be live on YouTube tonight, where we go a lot more in depth into Great Britain Rugby League and a little bit about John's history as well. Obviously, Bradford Northern star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really highly regarded there, and he's got loads of experience. And he talks a lot about his tours that he did to Australia, what it means to play for the police, and unique obstacles that they face because they're in the police. So check that out on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, a bit gutted I didn't get to sit in on that interview, Craig. He's a bit of a Bradford legend. Played with some big names, Nobby and Brian McDermott, McNamara. Played when all those did. Played. Remember him in the '96 Challenge Cup final as well, which was
yeah, that's right. He did.
Yeah. The best one of the best games I've ever watched. Yeah. When they played St Helens in '96.
Okay, so moving on from there to a bit of uni rugby league.
So this week is the semi-finals of Bucks Rugby, and Loughborough University are taking on Leeds Beckett. Tomorrow, in fact, we are actually going. And speaking to the Loughborough head coach, Mark Sloan, he's quietly confident they're got a chance of knocking Leeds Beckett off their podium this year.
Well, it's not that quiet anymore. You've just announced it to the 500 people watching this, but
yeah, Beckett for the taking. Look, Leeds Beckett have been in that final for 20 consecutive years, but Loughborough have had a great year this year. Finished top of their division in the south, and like I say, the lads are very building a really sort of strong force in Loughborough. The lads are very confident, and in the Mark, he said to me, basically says they've just got to believe in themselves. If they believe in themselves and go out and play how they know they can play, they could potentially pick up the win this weekend and get into a Bucks final.
That's amazing, especially because Loughborough within the Midlands, they're a big driving force in rugby league in this area. The Loughborough talent pathway that there was, previously, the academy there, it kicked out some incredible talent, including friend of the show, Josh Hodson, who's now gone on and signed for a Super League club.
Yeah, Cass.
Yeah, with Cass. So, it almost seems like they deserve to be in that semi-final, if not the final. And I personally like the idea that, from those humble beginnings of focusing on rugby league with that academy, that they're now starting to see a little bit of reward from their hard work.
Yeah, and the other semi-final, again, sort of teams from outside the heartlands, you got Northumbria taking on Newcastle. So yeah, it could be a great final, and we'll come back next week with the update and all the inside info.
We're not going to Northumbria then. No,
we're not going to Northumbria, mate.
Too cold. Too far. Okay. Moving on, Cal.
So I've brought back a feature that I know you love. Whenever there's a 7 tackle set, which we can't get all the stories in, I bring back tweet of the week. So this week's tweet of the week is from a friend of the show, Adam Bates. It's just something I picked up this week. I'll let you read it out because I can't read it from here.
Yeah, so from Adam Bates, who's Adam Bates 87 on Instagram. Am I missing something with rugby league at the moment? There's a huge emphasis on minimal head contact, with players getting binned, banned and fined all over the place, but violent handoffs and forearms to the face seem to be accepted. It's a valid point.
Yeah, a great talking point. So I mean, we've never. I don't think this has been addressed by the RFL, has it? Or if it has, I certainly haven't seen it. Handoffs are perfectly legal to the head.
Yeah, I've always. By the way, if you've got a comment on this or you've got an opinion on this, then fire it in the comments and let's bring it up on the screen. But I've often thought that there's very little legislation to protect the tackler. Actually, when we went to talk to the professor who did the study on on concussion and these new rules and all that, we did discuss this fact that a lot of the people getting knocked out and get head injuries is actually the tackler, not the person taking the ball in. So the fact that we don't have a legislation for that handoff, and I know it's palm of the hand and all that kind of stuff, but it's not a million miles.
Yeah,
from
hang on a minute, but
with,
that's a weapon, isn't it? If you hit somebody by that part with force, you can cause some serious danger with that.
What, the old palm strike to the throat? No, but yeah, I mean, we'd laugh about it, but you're right. You can cause considerable damage. Plus eyes, you know what I mean? I remember playing against West Hull when I was at school, right? It was like the schoolboys semi-final or something like that.
I know where this story's going. As soon as you mentioned West Hull,
right.
Go on.
Well, not only did I get kneed in the fucking face in the scrum, right? But this guy handed me off, and it sharpened his fingernails to they were like claws. And I remember him scraping my face. Seriously, he scraped my face and he scraped all my face down here. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened there? I've just been Wolverined. And, but there's no rules. There's no, it's perfectly, I know not the gouging, but, hand off to the face. The eyes are.
But we're talking about head concussions, aren't we? But yeah, I know what you mean. It's just maybe I have missed something. Maybe there is some legislation there, but clearly Adam's picked up on it. So we'll keep an eye on that one, I think.
Yeah, like I said, if you've got an opinion, then share it, and we'll see what's saying. Phil's saying Tim Laffey fend to the face of Jez Litton the weekend. He wasn't happy, Bunny. You're right, and also there was the James Bentley forearm. I can't remember it was. That was on the ground. Just it was Tariq Sims, I think. Just smashed him into in the face and walked away like nothing happened. I know that's slightly different, but it seems the forearm on the ground. It's just a bit.
Like do what Barry McDermott used to do, and used to have a
little pad there with a fucking horseshoe in it.
A pad. Well, I carried a brick round in it, to be honest with you.
Probably did. Yeah, it must have.
Whacking brick.
Do you know what's funny there though? Right. So Barry McDermott's like, okay, right, I've got to wear this thing because I keep getting injuries to my forearm. Yeah, no shit. Because
you go around fucking whacking everybody in the head with it. That's why.
And they're like, what have I done wrong? You know what I mean? But fucking hell, I used to have some massive battles with like Fielding.
Oh yeah,
they used to battle it out. That was fucking brilliant. Bring back some more of that. Okay, yeah, thanks for your comment there, Phil.
So on to the talking point of the week then, Williams Weekly. So what have you got for us this week, Craig?
Yeah, so basically there was a little bit of talk and chatter about the chance that the NRL might buy Super League. Right, I picked up on it sort of early in the week, and I thought, well, what an interesting concept.
I don't think it's chatter anymore, mate. I think there was a bit of a quote actually came out today from earlier on this afternoon, actual news saying they are looking at it or basically interested.
Yes, I mean, which feels me like equal parts excitement, equal parts dread.
Yeah.
And I just thought, right, let's take this to extreme. Like, what does this actually mean? And I don't want people just having like a single opinion on what it would actually mean for the game. So the question I posed was, what is the best thing that can happen, and what is the worst thing that can happen if the NRL bought Super League? And because I wanted to know what the range of what people think. You know what I mean? Not just their single track. I think it's terrible, and this is why. I want to know, what's the potential there? And it was really interesting what came back. I can summarize most of the comments, but if you're interested in picking up on this discussion, I did post it in a group on Facebook called Rugby League Banter, right? Which is a great group, right? It is lots of banter, and it's lots of people taking the piss. People don't take themselves too seriously, okay? But there's also some very knowledgeable people in there, and big Super League and NRL fans from all walks of life and everywhere around the world. So go and you'll be able to track the thread down there of and get the full thing. But in essence, what people were worried about was the fact that Australia would basically look to strengthen their competition by with mergers and partnerships and basically leak all the best talent into Australia
and the Super League. The Super League become like a B League almost,
like a B League,
a feeder league,
feeder league. So that was the big thing. And then the to summarize the positives, it was like, well, Australia clearly, very good at promoting the game, and maybe they'd bring more money, more investment, a better idea of how to promote the game. And those were the two extremes. Now, there's lots of other little arguments, as well. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Carl, and I don't know what your thoughts are, people listening to this, but how would you answer that question?
I think it's quite dangerous. Yeah, I think it's quite dangerous. I think, it's a really hard one, isn't it? Yeah, I knowing what I know about how the international game's gone, because the NRL's just always prioritised the NRL, hasn't it? Even over
Origin.
Or Origin, even over international rugby, which is wrong in my opinion. It's completely wrong.
But that was another point, was that, you know, they would they'd kill off the international game. Like, they've just got no interest in that international aspect of the game.
And I don't think they do. So yeah, for me, it wouldn't be a good idea. The NRL are doing wonderful, but it is the biggest sport in Australia. You got to remember that in Britain, it were probably what, 5th, 6th down the pecking order.
Behind what? Obviously football,
cricket.
Fucking hell.
Cricket's the biggest, one of the biggest sports in the world.
Cricket.
It is.
Cricket.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. All right, yeah, cricket.
Anyway,
what else?
You knocked me completely off my point then.
Rugby union. We don't mention rugby union on here, but anyway, you carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going about. My point being, they haven't done as well with rugby league in Australia as people think they have. Rugby league in Australia is very much Queensland, New South Wales.
Yeah,
it hasn't actually expanded the whole of Australia, so the track record isn't perfect, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, we got this idea that they're very good at promoting it.
Yeah,
one of the points that people did say, or one person said, and it was a really clear and concise answer, was that, you know, we've got this idea that NRL are very good at promoting the game, but they're very good at promoting the game in Australia to Australians, and that wouldn't necessarily map across to, you know, people with a mindset from the north of England, you know, or even England as the UK as a wider, you know, community. Some of those things that they do might not map across because weather's different, because, you know, the distribution of population is different, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So
Britain's a completely different beast, isn't it, to Australia? Completely different. I read a comment here that came through on YouTube. This is from Rugby League History, who I know he watches every week and he always comments every week. So it's great to hear from him. He put, given the NRL's track record in terms of upholding tradition, they are not great on that. They're also big on mergers a couple of decades ago. So yeah, would we lose teams and they'd start merging things? And I don't think they'd quite understand the British politics behind rugby league.
Well, they might understand it, but they might not give a shit about it. They might be like, well, so what? If you know,
yeah, Barrow should merge with Workington.
Yeah. Keithley should merge.
Go sort that one out.
yeah. But this is the thing, you know, and you can have like postcodes dividing teams, and then they may well be like, no, you need to put them two teams together because you're unsustainable as you are. You're not running at much of a profit, and you know, you need to combine.
Look, you'll have 60,000 fans if you put Saints and Wigan together.
Yeah,
Never going to happen, is it?
No.
Yeah. So for me, look, the NRL's great, but I wouldn't like to see them take over Super League. I think I'd like to see us keep controlling that ourselves.
Yeah. So I don't think we need to worry about it too much just yet. But, you know, there are rumours confirmed. That seems like a bit of a double negative, but, you know, maybe it'll happen. Let's keep an eye on it and see what we go. So really interested in that. Okay, so that's my little weekly, Williams weekly, as it's become known. What's coming up in the future, Cal?
So we've got this week's podcast is with Siobhan Longden Hughes from London Broncos women's team. We had the pleasure of sitting down with her the other week. Recorded a great podcast with it, with Craig. This is coming out on International Women's Day.
Yeah, so this is our little tip of the hat to International Women's Day. You know, women's game, stacks of opportunity, and it's growing really well. So, you know, and this is someone who's excelling in the women's game at the minute and taking a lot from it. She has got a really interesting backstory, and has, you know, he's fighting a lot, really. You know, it's not just a case of like grabbing your stinking kit bag and heading off to rugby training for her. You know, quite often she's got a young toddler on her hip, and she's bloody, you know, she's got everything playing at a top club, and, you know, with a child in tow, and we don't really have those pressures. Not only that, but the fact that she's not long been through pregnancy and then maternity leave and recovery from a C-section, all this kind of stuff. Just real interesting, regardless of who you are, a different view of the sport. So that'll be coming out Thursday.
Yeah, it's a great episode, and like I say, you learn about transition from ballet dancer to rugby league player, which is certainly a unique one, isn't it?
But that's the same route that you took, isn't it? Okay, from there, we've got a couple of other things.
Yeah, I'll just put a bit of a rundown of what we've got coming out this week. So we are pretty busy these days. So every Tuesday we have our set of 6, which goes out live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And like I say, you can comment on it like people have been doing tonight. And then on a Wednesday, we also do a predictions round where we do our Super League predictions, which are based on absolutely no scientific knowledge whatsoever. It's just 2 guys in Shropshire picking their teams. But we have been doing quite well, actually, haven't we, Craig? So maybe we do know a little bit more than we think.
Well, do you know what I'm going to throw out here, right? If we get, so we got over 500 views and still climbing, right? If we get 700 views, I think we should do it pissed. Seriously, I think we should have a few pints and do that pissed, because that'd be a right laugh. So there's the challenge for you, So if you want to see the little pissed up predictions, that rolls off the tongue.
Pissed up predict,
Then get the views coming in.
And then on Thursday, the podcast drops for International Women's Day, which podcasts always drop on a Thursday, 6:00. And then we've also got the John Hamer extra episode this week as well. So we've absolutely filled the book this week.
Just another little question there from Phil. It's a good question, actually, and it basically says, slightly off topic, did you play rugby in the Marines? Yeah, I did. I was lucky enough. I captained the Marines a couple of times and loved rugby league. When I first passed out of training, my first 2 or 3 years, literally I just played rugby league all the time. It was an emerging sport, and we played loads of different teams: prison service, the police, a couple of army teams, all sorts of different teams. Loved it. And I remember got called into the office once, and this basically said, "Look, Marine Williams, you're gonna have to stop playing rugby because we're trying to write reports on you. We never fucking see you." So I literally just in a tracksuit all the time. It was brilliant. And so I stopped playing rugby league and then started boxing. So then I did another 12 months on the boxing squad. So, but yeah, I did play rugby league in the Marines, but I did have like a 10-year gap when things started getting a little bit busy in sandy climates around the world. And and then after that 10 years, kind of went back later in life, about mid 30s or whatever, and started playing as like a bit of an older player, really. But
I suppose if you want a full insight into your very extensive rugby league background, our first ever episode was about that, wasn't it? Where we talked about our backgrounds in rugby league. Yeah, if he wants to go track that one down.
Yeah, it's on the website, rugbyleagueoutsiders.com. Go and have a look at the first episode. You'll see the difference in the podcast as well, like the different changes in the set. The way we do it now, like when we first got started there, Carl, there's no way we could have done like 4 lots of content of this quality. Then we were sort of both fingers and thumbs trying to turn out one episode.
Yeah, well, we're like 6 hours editing on first episode or something now, and we're now down to knocking them out pretty quick, aren't we now?
Yeah, that's what she said. Anyway, moving on, Carl. Anything to finish?
No, I mean we haven't discussed this, have we? But we may be recording from somewhere else in the not too distant future.
Yeah, yeah. We will be.
We will be. Yes.
What's in question is like when, and what it'll look like. So stay with us. This podcast, we're here to stay. We're here to grow, and constantly keep moving forward. So and we're open to feedback. It's the Breakfast of Champions. So. Let us know what you think's working well, what you like, what you don't like, and we'll keep moving through. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah, until next time. Thanks a lot.